It's a special day on the Dimer Sports Betting Podcast. Greg versus Dave. Tonight, the Lions versus the Cowboys. Our two teams go head-to-head. We've got a bunch of creative segments in store for you on this episode. Are you ready to go to war with me today, Dave?
I am ready, Greg. I circled this on the calendar as soon as we signed up to do this podcast. I knew this day would come, and who knew it would have so much in store after the way the season started for the Cowboys anyway.
Well, you look game ready. I think that's a great physical embodiment of your team. And I'm sick, which is a great physical embodiment of my team because every important player on my team is seemingly dropping like flies. So I would be lying if I said I was overly optimistic, but I am looking forward to some things that we have prepared to discuss for this game. Should be a fun show today. We will give you our full Thursday Night Football preview. We've got a little contest head-to-head, Dave and I, with a parlay that we have each prepared for this game. Beyond that, we will unveil our official best bets for Week 14, our first touchdown round robin, and plenty more. First, though, can we look back at King of the Court? Because, once again, the winner was featured in our top targets.
Yep, pretty sweet. Tyrese Maxey and Denny Avdija were also in the top five. Anthony Edwards took the crown. He was our third highest projected guy. So once again, the top guy was in our top five targets. Three of the top five contenders were in there. It's been a little chalky this season. So, the bonus bets haven't been crazy, but the Dimers model's been dialed in. And personally, I think that's the biggest takeaway is that we are nailing the projections, regardless of what kind of bonus bet you're getting.
100%. I feel like we've had a rhythm with King of the Court down the stretch of this leading into the holiday season. So, just good to call that out as we continue on these episodes. All right, let's go right into Thursday Night Football. If you can't tell, I'm a little antsy. I'm on the edge of my seat for this game. Lions -3.5, must-win game for Detroit to stay in the divisional race. Dallas off an emotional victory during Thanksgiving week. Totals 54.5 here. Our model gives a probability lean to Cowboys +3.5, but no edge as we see a pretty juicy spread.
So you can get an edge. I think if you get it at +3, which it is, I think in most places, but right now there is a +3.5. 56% probability, which is pretty strong. But it's a -130 spread on BetMGM, so there's not really an edge there. It's kind of bounced between +3 and +3.5, a little bit. If you can get 3.5, it's kind of just personal preference there, I think, if you want the push and a little bit better odds. I'll pull up our projections right now, and we'll just kind of go through the game as we usually do. Basically a playoff eliminator here for the Cowboys. It's a game the Lions also need, but given how that division's a little tighter and it's going to cannibalize itself with the Packers-Bears game this Sunday, the Cowboys are in a much more dire spot. Currently 16% probability to make the playoffs. That'll fall to 6% if they lose, while the Lions are at 43% and will fall to 23% if they lose. That's based on NFL.com's predictions, but still much more important game for Dallas, but really a lot on the line for both of them. Detroit's the 8 seed. Cowboys are the 9. They both need multiple wins to get back into the wild card conversation. And they're not going to get any help from the Niners this week, who are on bye and taking up that 7 seed spot. So, it's going to be a good game. I'm really excited for it. Going to be nervous for sure. But anyway, looking back real quick at the total, where I said we have no major lean, 53%. But -102. Best bets would give that a 2.1% edge, which isn't bad. Not really the bet I want to be on tonight, I think, in this matchup of two really good offenses. And it's not like 57, 58% like we have on our best bet of the spread. So I'm not saying to fade the model here, but it's just I'm not taking the under with two massive offenses going head to head and only about a 52% probability here. Because I think you're probably all about this over too, right, Greg?
At full strength, I would be undoubtedly. I'm so concerned about how Detroit's going to approach this game. And maybe this is just me saying that I lean towards Cowboys and seeing value on both the spread and the money line. But if Amon-Ra St. Brown doesn't play, we just have no idea what that Lions offense is going to be capable of. I am tailoring all of my personal plays this week towards variations of how I think this team will respond without their go-to receiver. But I mean, Jameson Williams is a fun player. He's not a wide receiver one. He just doesn't run routes or have hands that would be conducive to throwing the ball 15 times a game to him. Beyond Jameson Williams, you're looking at like Isaac Tesla and a bunch of practice squad guys that shouldn't be here. No Laporta as well, right? There's no tight end to lean back to.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're going to see, the typically aggressive Lions offense at home really try to play a different game than they're used to. And I'm not all that confident that they'll be successful in doing so. But it is making me look at that under. Like when we show even just a slight edge at it, it's making me think the path to Detroit winning this game is going to be ball control and pound Montgomery on the ground a little more than usual and kind of get the high-powered Dallas offense off the field as much as they can in this game. I don't know how successful they'll be in doing that. So to me, I'm honestly leaning Cowboys in every way and the under. Which is where the model leans as well, but I'm certainly rooting against that. So I don't even know if I'm going to formally play it myself.
Say this isn't turning out to be the Lions versus Cowboys head-to-head debate as I thought it would be. It seems pretty heavily on one side so far, and not from who I expected.
The Lions were so disgustingly bad against the Packers in the second half.
Yeah, I know.
And I think there was a lot of optimism that they were going to get the center back from last year who was trying to come out of retirement and save this season, and then he failed a physical. So,
Frank Ragnow,
right? It's like desperation in Detroit headquarters right now. And look, it's two desperate teams. Sometimes that can yield to some surprises along the way. I think tonight's actually a really fun prop betting game, which maybe we'll get into more of because you can select a lot of Detroit players that have not been super involved throughout the season to possibly be more involved than usual. But just from an overlay, I think I'm in lockstep with the model, even though my heart doesn't like it with Cowboys in the under.
Yeah, well, that almost pains me to hear it, but we'll take all the support we can get. And that just actually makes me more excited for our little head-to-head battle in a little bit.
Yeah.
I like what you said about Montgomery pounding the ball. We'll touch on that in just a sec real quick. Obviously, we'll look at the biggest storyline here, which is Amon-Ra St. Brown's absence. As of last night, he was still in our predictions. He was on the books with props and stuff, but it's looking more and more like he'll be out. He's only listed questionable, not even doubtful, but his lines have come down. He's no longer in our projections. So I think it's looking more and more likely that he's not playing. If it was a short week, I think we'd already know that he's not playing. But not NFL insiders here, but probably know Amon-Ra St. Brown tonight. So who's filling in? Feel like this would be an easier question on other weeks, but like you mentioned, there are so many other guys hurt. Sam Laporta is out. Brock Wright is out. Khalif Raymond is out. 4 of their top 5 pass catchers who are not Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery are out of this game. Jameson Williams slots in default wide receiver 1 on volume and field stretching ability, but like you said, he's not really that mold of player. So are you going to see the, contested catches get made, the big stuff in traffic? I don't know. They might be able to double him up a bit and just kind of dare the Lions to beat them with the run game, which is very good. And underneath with some of these Jags like Isaac Tesla and whoever else. Oh, who's it? Kennedy, is that the other guy in here? Yeah, who had a little,
guy. Yeah, he popped in the Green Bay game a little bit.
Yeah.
Look, here's what I would say: they drafted Tesla. They traded like 3 picks to move up in the draft and take Tesla. And Lions fans, including me, were just like, "What are we doing? We just traded draft collateral to move up and get a white receiver like that we've never heard of. This is so confusing." They clearly like him. They clearly believe in his big playability. He just hasn't been on the field much this year. And when he was on the field in the preseason, he was electric. He had like 3 touchdowns in 3 games in the preseason, some highlight reel catches. His first 2 catches in his NFL career through 2 weeks were one-handers. And I think he is a big play guy. I just don't think they've ever approached a game before intending to have him heavily involved. And if there was ever a time for it, how many times have you heard us say this on this program? It's against the Dallas secondary. So, I do think they're going to come into this game with Tesla as a huge part of it. I would bank on him to be more involved than Jameson Williams from a targets perspective in this game. I just don't know, number one, how it's going to work. And number two, I think the lines are juiced for Tesla. Like I was looking at this hoping to possibly put together a Tesla ladder play. And it's like, I want to say he's not plus money until like 50 or 60 yards, which is just crazy for a guy with 11 catches on his career. So that's something I think you could talk yourself into if you are a believer. I can't get there at the way they're priced right now.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to dip your toes into that one at your own risk, almost like an all or nothing. Take them to go huge, go nuclear, or don't touch it because, it's, like you said, he's got 11 targets, I think, this season, which in tonight's pecking order slots in as second among all wide receivers. But, could be just a long night as far as who's getting the ball there in that offense. So switching to the run game, we'll talk a little about Monty here, as you mentioned. Jahmyr Gibbs, most explosive player on the field tonight, I think, even more so than the Cowboys' electric wide receivers. He's probably in line for a huge volume game. Will that translate into a big productive game? We'll see. Projecting him for 85 yards, 65% TD probability. He's super juiced for that, minus 235. So that makes sense. Coming off a rare down game for him, actually. Only about, I know he had like 11 PPR points. I don't even know exactly what his stats were, but they were not very delicious. That's for sure. One thing I think we might see from him is maybe deployed more as a receiver. He's been very effective as one. The Lions, like I said, are missing so many guys. Where Jahmyr Gibbs is the second most targeted player on the field tonight for Detroit. Cowboys allow 44.7 receiving yards to RBs per game, which is more than all but two teams in the NFL. Last night, he was even money for 40 plus. I think he's a little shy of that, like minus 102 now, because his line has crept up a little bit. But I know his over is 36.5, at least at FanDuel, 38.5 at DraftKings. So you might be able to get some better value if you shop around on that. I just think you might see him deployed more in that facet since they're just going to be hurting so badly at receiver, which possibly then gives Monty some more room to fill that void on the ground. Would not be surprised to see him take his highest workload as a runner in several weeks, down to single-digit carries his past 3 games. 8 carries last week were the highest of those past 3. So, he's not been completely phased out, but it's certainly not the two-headed backfield that it was for, the last 2.5 seasons or so.
Yeah, I think it's a big Gibbs night, intentionally so, right? To my point, I think if Detroit is going to have success in this game with all the receiving threats out, they're going to just have to lean on their superstar more than they ever have. And it's been trending in that direction for a month. I am going to have a personal play coming up that leans on him as a pass catcher. He is very dynamic there. They drafted him in part for his receiving ability, and I think we could see him split out wide more than we ever have tonight, given the inactives. At the same time, I really would not be surprised if they just lean back and hand the ball to Gibbs 25 times and keep the ball on the ground and try and play a very slow game here. I don't know what Dan Campbell's going to do. It sounds counterintuitive to everything Dan Campbell stands for to say, let's play a ball control, slow, conservative game. That's not who he is, but I also don't think he's an idiot, quite frankly. And given how depleted that locker room is right now, it's probably the best path forward. So I'm looking for Gibbs. That's my takeaway from this, Dave. I'm looking for Gibbs.
Yeah, probably the best way to keep the ball out of the hands of CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens is to keep the clock moving and Detroit's control. So, and speaking of those two, which one of them is going to lead? It's basically an even split here, which makes sense. They're both absolutely dominant. They have really similar stats this season. 86 projected yards for Lamb, 85 for Pickens, 42% TD probability for Pickens, 43% for Lamb. Almost identical. Lamb's line is 2 yards higher than Pickens. Even the books don't really know what to make of who will be the dominant one. Either one of them is capable of 100 plus yards in any given game, really. Both are averaging 9 targets per game. If you cancel out the one game where CD got hurt on the first drive without even seeing a target, he's averaging over 10 targets per game. And he does have one more game with double-digit targets than Pickens. So as explosive as Pickens has been, CD is still the one, the guy Dak is looking for most often. Certainly think either of them's good for 100 plus. You'll get plus money at either of those. Only 15 yards off, 14 yards off for either of them. Take your pick. I don't particularly have a special lean there. But yeah, I think either of them could go off. Lions 25 passing touchdowns allowed is the third most in the NFL. Their passing defense is pretty solid, at least as far as yards is concerned, but they give up a lot of scores behind only the Bengals and these Cowboys. One thing I was looking at, and I'm almost definitely going to do this, I just got to see how I want to play it, is all these big guys to hit their long receptions here because they do so frequently, and this could be a shootout. Lamb's over his line of 25.5 yards in all but one game. Pickens over 26.5, longest reception line in 8 games. Jamison Williams is over 27.5 in 5 games. He's been hooked on one, and they've all smashed it multiple times with 30 plus, 40 plus yard plays. If you take all 3 of them for a 30-yard catch, it's plus 881 on FanDuel. I'm going to play that as a little side play. It might get a little creative with a little ladder or something in that, but very small units there. But if you're thinking a shootout, I think that's a fun way to play it.
That's a very fun way to play it. I'm in on that. Big play potential from these teams. I like it. Okay. We've got the Thursday night football jackpot on FanDuel. What's the best way to approach this?
As usual, I like my contrarian plays. I could just take a look here at our top first touchdown probabilities. Gibbs at 15%, surely going to be the most popular. Javonte Williams, 10.6. Jamison Williams, 9.3. David Montgomery, 8.7. And then the Cowboys wide receivers, just about 8%. I like Tesla and Montgomery. Tesla is obviously the deeper cut, maybe not as much now with him basically being the wide receiver 2 in this game. But I kind of like Montgomery here because he might get overlooked alongside some of these bigger name players. Like Gibbs is going to draw a lot of attention. I would guess CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. This is just a speculation, but probably more picked than David Montgomery tonight. For a guy with a top probability in this game, you could do worse than that. So I'd play Monty or Tesla as like a deep cut. If you're looking for something maybe a little more conservative, Javonte Williams might be kind of overlooked here too. He's got a high TD probability, but he's probably going to be the third most bet on the Cowboys. Definitely going to be behind Gibbs, probably behind Jamison Williams because people like those big plays. So I don't know. You might be able to find yourself with like the 6th or 7th most popular guy with some of the RBs in this game. So kind of a lot of options, more than usual, without a clear deep cut. But yeah, Monty or Tesla for me.
I think it's Monty for me. I think we'll probably see Monty get a few more touches around the goal line, especially if they do split out Gibbs wide than we have in recent weeks. And like a month ago, I mean, we've seen our probabilities change to reflect his decreasing usage. But a month ago, it would have been crazy to think you could get Montgomery as like a long shot for this game. It felt like he was finding the end zone every single week. So I think there's going to be some positive regression there. It's Montgomery for me, like the Tesla shout as well. But I feel like Tesla is almost that like weekly, so sexy, everyone knows about it. Shot, Like there's no hiding Isaac Tesla with Amon-Ra out tonight. So
that's right.
We'll see. All right. Thank you, Dave. We have a few more parlays to unveil here next, starting with our Thursday night football same game parlay.
Yeah. So I'm not going to go over this one here. You guys are going to have to go on the site and check it out. It's up there. It's on the homepage. It's plus 445, 3 legs as usual. You have to check it out on there because Greg and I are going to do something a little different with our parlays tonight. where we got a little head-to-head wager we've cooked up, and we're going to see who comes out on top. So we got a little Thursday Night Football same game parlay battle. How about this, Greg? If one of us wins the same game parlay, the other has to sport some gear by the other team on Tuesday's show. If we both win or both lose, because our odds are almost the same, so we don't even really have a tiebreaker, which was not planned, we'll defer to the winner of the game.
Deal.
Sound good? Deal. All right. I'll go first then. Dave, Cowboys +3, over 54.5, and a CD Lamb touchdown. 56% probability from the Dimers model at +3.5. You know I'm backing the Cowboys in this one. Almost wanted to go money line, but I want to get myself a little out just in case. Bizarrely, DraftKings would not allow me to put +3.5 in the same game parlay. It was denying that as a pick, which is weird because it's not even an alternate spread. So I don't know why, kind of whack, but I'm taking the +3 here. Whatever. Hopefully it doesn't burn me, but I'll die on that hill. Talked about the over. I think this will be a shootout. So much big playability on both sides of this game, even without Amon-Ra. Could see one of those funky fourth quarters where they're just shooting out at the end here. Somebody's getting 2 TDs. I don't know who. Could be this guy, CD Lamb. Don't know if he'll get 2, but he's getting 1. He's going to score his 3rd touchdown in 4 games, maybe even to open up this game. +500 odds. Go Cowboys.
Hey, I like that you picked +3 because now I can root for your parlay to hit and still not be rooting. By the way, if the worst thing that can happen to me here is me getting some Cowboys gear out of this, consider that a win. I'm down. I am going to lean into the game script I see happening here. Jahmyr Gibbs through the air, David Montgomery on the ground. Our projections have Gibbs at 4.8 receptions for 41 yards tonight. I'm asking him to just slightly exceed those numbers. He does have a couple games this season with 9, 10 receptions. He's capable of these types of performances. There's zero reason they shouldn't feature him in the screen game, possibly split him out wide, and just use him literally as the wide receiver 2, if not wide receiver 1, because Jamison Williams has rocks for hands. 6 receptions, 50 receiving yards for Gibbs. That seems extremely doable to me. It's all going to come down to the Monty touchdown. But as you laid out in the promo above, I think that he's likely to get more goal line carries than he has in recent weeks, largely because they will be creative of how they're using Gibbs. If I'm right on this game script, I think +525 is pretty great odds for this. And if you can't tell, I have zero confidence in my Lions to win this game. So I'm staying entirely away from money lines. I'm staying entirely away from spreads. Give me Gibbs and Monty and Cowboys +3. We can all go home happy.
Well, you know what? Since you like that one too, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Just in case we are both feeling the magic, I'm just going to play these both together also. I'm playing mine already. I already played that, but I'm going to play these 2 together and see if we can really celebrate.
If that happens,
everybody is a winner.
We should do a giveaway of some sort. If we somehow hit both of these in some big lotto, let's give something away.
If we do that and you comment on this YouTube video, we will give a month of Dimers Pro to one random person. If we both cash our parlays and you comment on this YouTube video.
Boom. There we have it. All right. Good luck tonight, Dave. Also,
thank you. You too, buddy.
Team loses, but good luck.
Right back at you.
We've made it through the fun portion of the show. Let's get to the second most fun portion of the show. Let's look broader in week 14 for some more storylines and value bets. Omarion Hampton supposed to return this week. First time we've seen him since week 5 when we were discussing him as the breakout rookie sensation of the NFL. It's going to be good to see him back, Dave. What do you expect?
Yeah, hoping he does come back. He is still on IR. Jim Harbaugh is like one of the most classic coach speak guys, especially without Bill Belichick. He's like the heir apparent to the mysterious talk. Says the question will be answered as the week unfolds. But what I can tell you is he's on track and looking good. So directly from Harbaugh, I don't know what that means. You figure it out. But either way, if he plays, Kamani Vidal is not going to go away. He's filled in admirably, serving as a workhorse, 3 games over 100 yards and 3 touchdowns. The only games he saw single-digit carries were complete blowouts in which they were abandoning the run. So I would expect a really split backfield upon Hampton's return, whether it's this week or even next. Probably not firing him up in fantasy if you're waiting on him unless you absolutely need him or something. I just think you don't know what you're going to get, and it's something to avoid. He gets a 33% TD probability to Vidal's 28. Neither is projecting for more than 34 rushing yards against an Eagles defense that is, I'm going to assume, going to try very hard to not give up a repeat performance of 250 yards and 2 TDs to running backs of last week. We also talked about how we like the Eagles in this spot on Tuesday to win the game. Should be a little easier for them to control this. Herbert's listed as day-to-day recovering from hand surgery, so there's more questions beyond just Hampton here. And if the game gets out of hand early for the Chargers, I just speculate that they'll default to giving high-volume touches to their rookie who's returning from an ankle injury, which is a really rough injury for a running back to have in the first place. And, I mean, I like Vidal for a TD more in this one anyway, and I feel like his odds wouldn't be plus 330 if Hampton wasn't coming back, but I can't imagine the books know if Hampton's coming back or not. The guy is still sitting on IR, so some really good value that you might be able to scoop up on. And if Hampton's ruled out, it's going to probably drop to like 180, 190. So we have an edge on that. Definitely something that we're worth looking at. What was I going to say? Sorry. I just think it's a really generous. Hampton's plus 180. I see really generous odds for a guy who's literally right now still sitting on IR and his QB is questionable after hand surgery. So I wish we had more clarity on this situation. I'd love to talk about it more, but our model is not projecting a big day for the Chargers running backs. And I just think with the way health and game script and stuff could be, it's probably indicative of what we're going to see on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, a lot up in the air there for sure. But good to see him back. If we are correct, and he's one of the more electric players in all of NFL to watch. I enjoyed him greatly in the first month of the season and just hoping to be able to watch Omarion Hampton again. Next up, we got the Colts and the Jags with some pretty serious divisional implications here. How about a 1 p.m. Colts-Jaguars game as a marquee matchup? If you banked on that in week 14, kudos to you, Dave. Are you excited for this one?
Yeah, of course. I had this on my card as the circled matchup for the entire NFL season. But no, I mean, the Colts really need a win here. They could fall even further back in this division. Just a couple weeks ago, they were favored. They were basically a split favorite, plus 140 to 145 for the Jags. The Dimers model has been on the Jags all year, and now we put the Colts at just 35.2% to win the AFC South. Jags at 40%. Even the Texans are at like 27.5%, creeping up on the Colts. We gassed them up a little bit, but I fear we may be seeing the downfall of like one of the harshest downfalls of a team in some time here. The Colts are kind of in free fall. So hopefully you grab that value we talked about on the Jags to win the division last week. 52% for the Jags to cover in this game. It's plus 2, 54% under 47.5, which I think I like. Haven't done a ton of research into, that part of this game, mostly looking at prop angles and stuff, but real slim 2.2% edge on the under. So the model does have a bit of a lean there. But I mean, you got Daniel Jones literally playing on a broken leg. Fractured fibula is a broken leg. Okay. And it's reverting a bit to the old Daniel Jones we know and have come to love. So just kind of a lot in the air for them. The Jags get the games done dirty, but they've been getting it done. And it's been a quiet run for Jonathan Taylor lately. Do project him for a big game, almost 100 yards, 67% for a touchdown. But I don't know. I mean, it's been a couple quiet games for him since the Berlin game where he went absolutely nuclear with like 250 and 3 touchdowns. But those 2 quiet games were enough to make him no longer even the offensive player of the year favorite. So I really think they're going to get back to using him, not for the sake of winning an award, but he's the key to their wins. It shouldn't be a surprise that when he doesn't score, they lose the game. They only one of their wins had a Jonathan Taylor scoreless outing in it. So should be a lot of JT here. He is still the MVP, at least of this team, if not the league. And I think the little slide here just further cements that point. Looking at the Jags side, Maybe a rebound game for Etienne, projecting only 57 yards, but a 43% TD probability compared to just 28 yards and 34% for Tootin, who vultured him last week and is getting a bit more work in this backfield. But model does seem to be liking Etienne a bit more this week, and I sure hope so because I will have him fired up in a key number 1 overall seed deciding matchup in fantasy in the Dimers Work League Fantasy. So wow. I'm really going to need an Etienne game here.
Who are you trying to shut out?
We got Damian is the only other guy in contention, I believe, for the number 1 seed this week. So it's up to he and I to lock that down. But the whole playoffs are set, so I'm in. But I just want that number 1 seed.
Major implications. You love to see it. And I apologize to Colts fans because I cursed your team. I called you a legitimate Super Bowl contender, and ever since it's been free fall. So, tough.
One thing I will just add here is if you could find the line, they don't have one up right now. It might be impossible, but I would slam the under on Daniel Jones rushing. He's got just 5 games with double-digit yards this season, just 4 carries over his past 2 games. Had like a spike week of 57 yards 3 weeks ago, but I think that was the Berlin game. And, broken leg.
Yeah, yep. Not easy to run with a broken leg. Just like it's not easy to podcast with stress throat day, but some of us can do it still. Can you believe that?
This guy can.
Every single step. We just take tiny steps. All right. There's some things to look forward to. Lots to look forward to here as the stretch run of the NFL season continues. Let's turn to our Week 14 best bets.
Weekend best bets.
2-0 on the Thanksgiving slate picks. We've got 3 for Sunday this week, and a few of these were featured on the Tuesday show.
Yep. So we'll just pull them up all right now and go through them. Pretty quick on these first 2. As you mentioned, Greg, we did talk about them, and the value has held up, and nothing has really changed in our predictions. So we'll just run through them real quick and lock them in as plays of the week. But Titans plus 4.5 at the Browns, still strong with almost a 68% probability, 14.3% edge. That's a massive value spot. As mentioned, has held strong since Tuesday. Early predictions. Line differs a bit across books. Plus 4.5 here, but it's plus 3.5 at plus 100 on FanDuel. So you could consider getting the better price if you want it. Our projected final score 19-16, plus this huge 67% probability. I can say with certainty we would have at least 50% on plus 3.5, which would be fair odds. So probably a value play there as well. Frankly, I think that is the play. But if you don't mind the slight bit of juice, minus 115, you could just play the 4.5, which the model supports. 33.5 point total, one of the lowest, if not the lowest all season. Going to be a grind for these offenses. We got 54% to the over. Not a market I'm going to touch, but that is what the model says. We talked about it. Titans are bad, but they're a little competitive lately. And the Browns are also bad and not very competitive lately. So it just kind of seems to be lining up here. Titans have stayed within a touchdown of some 2 pretty good defenses lately, Houston and Seattle. Browns offense has been really unreliable. I know they're trying to get Shedeur Sanders started, but you mentioned on Tuesday's show, Greg, they ran it something like 8 times in a row, got an open play for a score, and then did not score again in the entire game. Just not really pulling out the big plays that you kind of need to capitalize as a bad team against a team like the Titans that can get a little feisty here, which is not something I'm going to say about a lot of one-win teams, but in this particular scenario, I will. Judkins only TD score near 50%, just under at 49.5. His rushing projection is creeping up a bit. He's now up to 76 yards, high 50s on Tuesday. Under his line of 80.5, though. A little value there if you want to fade him. And Tennessee's run defense is improving, holding the Jags to 70, Texans to 75 team rushing yards. Top 5 units since week 9 here, Tennessee, which was originally one of the easiest to gash all year long. Dirty games like this, not usually on the radar, but model value is very strong in this one.
Yep. I'm holding strong in my Titans and Bears belief. So take us through the Bears points again, please.
Bears, yep. Also a great one that has held up, and we love to see it. Going from like the worst game of the slate to one of the best games on the slate. Both teams coming off big upsets, but as mentioned, I think the Bears win feels more impressive, and adding this one to it would put them on cloud 9, riding a 5-game win streak. Packers on a 3-game run. This is for first place in the division here. If you want some value on the Bears, this is probably the last time you can get it. They're likely to move to minus odds if they win this game for the AFC North, and given how tight it will be, probably won't drop to anything, I think, outside like plus 150 until maybe the final week if they're on the outside looking in or something. But yeah, probably their last chance to do that. We know Chicago dominated Philly on Black Friday, only allowing 56 rushing yards, limited passing game outside of A.J. Brown in garbage time, and absolutely ran wild with their backfield. I don't think we're going to see a blueprint of that again. Green Bay's run defense is a good bit stronger than Philly's, and their passing defense as well. And overall, just playing like a tighter team. You know, they haven't been blowing teams out or looking like world beaters, but just much tighter than the Eagles, who look in disarray. Running back projections, yeah, like I said, 125 and a touchdown each for the guys last week. Not going to see that this week against Green Bay. Swift is at 51 yards projected, 35% TD probability. Monangai at 46% rushing, just under a 35% TD probability. Will say that I love Monangai here. He's the red zone leader of the two, getting more looks and converting almost all of them. He's at plus 200 odds, which is a touch of value at 35%. It would be about 33.3, I believe, for fair or implied probability there. And this is kind of a aside, but I hit 4 out of 5 on a like long shot plus 200 TD round robin last week. I'm probably going to do another one featuring Monangai and, as mentioned earlier, Kamani Vidal at those odds. Try to dig up a couple other guys, but they're both on my radar this week for a touchdown. Packers side, Christian Watson's trending up. He's now up to 59 projected receiving yards and a 33% TD probability. That's the highest in this game besides Josh Jacobs. So love me some Christian Watson down the stretch here. But yeah, I mean, not a ton else to say. We just love this number for the Bears, who have looked really good. Feels too high for a team on this type of run, and the model gives them even a little underdog value. So when you see the model aligned in two markets, it's usually a pretty good sign.
You know, in some ways, the progression of this program, the Dimer Sports Betting Podcast this year, has felt like a 3-month-long electric chair for me. Because how many ways do I need to tell the world I love the Bears? Okay, we get it. The Bears are good. They're fun. The model shows value every single week. I love this team. I think they're going to win this game. More on that to conclude the show. Spoiler alert. But we do have one new game that's entering our official best bets for Week 14, and it is the Bengals against the fraudulent Buffalo Bills, as we have frequently referred to them as. Dave, do you like this spot here from the model?
I do. Not the best number. Probably taking it's plus 100 though, so 6.5 probably won't cost you much. But 54% probability, 4.2% edge. They are just one of three teams with an edge on both the spread and money line. That would be the Dolphins and the Bears as the other two. Like I said, I would prefer 6.5, but you could probably buy that since this is plus 100 at 5.5. Bengals pulled off a huge statement win in Joe Burrow's first game back. They won just one of their previous 9 games, despite hanging in there plenty with Joe Flacco. But Burrow completely opened up the Bengals offense, just in a comfort level, if anything, but more so seemed to inspire the defense, which is about one of the worst in the NFL. And they brought out the clamps and shut down Baltimore. Now they're going to Buffalo for a big game against the Bills, who should be playing very hard so as not to slip out of contention here. Looks like another shootout probably on the docket, unless the cold gets in the way, but I don't think the weather is projecting for anything other than your normal Buffalo in December cold. But two very poor rushing defenses here. Pretty equally poor. Bengals passing defense, save for last week. Bills do sport the best passing defense in the league. However, if the Bengals are at full strength with Chase, Higgins, Burrow, and even Chase Brown all playing in the same game for the first time since week 2, the ceiling on this offense is the roof. It's huge. It's crazy. And I think we could see absolute fireworks in this one. Chase Brown, total workhorse, 15 plus carries in 3 straight. First time since week 2. He's had that many in a game, averaging over 5.2 yards per carry in each of those games. Should be a lot of chances to move the ball on the ground here. Couple prop angles for me. One of these is actually going to pop up as my play of the week. Well, something tangential to it. But project James Cook for the century mark in this. That would be his 8th such game this season. I quietly has 800 or 700-yard games this season. It's pretty nuts. Just put up insane rushing numbers against the Steelers. I think it was something like the worst rushing performance the Steelers have given up since O.J. Simpson. It was absolutely not. I'm serious. I'm not just like joking. Like I did not verify that. I heard it on another program, but it was crazy. Yeah. So James Cook is rolling, very much likely to do so again in this one. But still, I think the Bengals are going to hang here. Full strength. This is kind of a classic matchup. It's not like the Bills-Chiefs legacy matchups we keep seeing, but Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Bills, Bengals is definitely up there with some of the Titan versus Titan matchups I think that you can see these days. Yeah, love it. Wish it was 6.5, so keep that in mind. But yeah, I really like this spot.
Yeah, it's not the sexiest number, but I totally see the play here. I mean, Bills have been a favorite fade of mine all season long. One of those very public teams that almost always has inflated value inherently tied into them. And the Bengals have been the opposite. One of the least sexy teams, the least public teams that constantly hangs around and makes things tougher and tougher. The more healthy they get, the more I want to buy into the Bengals, making things interesting. So, all right, there you have it. Titans, Bears, and Bengals taking 3 underdogs plus the points. We will mention there's plenty more spots on the site that you should check out. We don't want to go too overboard with our best bets, but there's quite a few that are showing value this week. So Dimers minus 2.5 against the Jets has value. Commanders plus 2.5 against the Vikings. Both got an edge. And if you want to see all of these, make sure you get Dimers Pro. Promo code podcast gets you 50% off Dimers Pro. You can sort through all of these yourself and figure out exactly what your finalized best bets card should be. You've also got a touchdown prop for us that shows value this week. It's Chris Rodriguez against the Vikings. What do you see here?
Yep. We haven't done one of these in a few weeks on here, but we've got an edge on him all the way through the ladder. I mean, plus 8,000 for 3+ years. So like be very, very, very light pizza money light if you're playing this, but just wanted to show the range of value that we have on him in this game. This guy was my top waiver wire out of the week, and those guys keep scoring. So I love him for one, plus 150 and over 53%. So huge edge just for one touchdown. He is the RB1 right now in this offense. Scored all 4 of his touchdowns since week 7, 3 of those in his past 4 games. Like I said, he's the clear lead back, double-digit carries in 3 of his past 4, leading the team in red zone opportunities. Guess who has one of the worst red zone defenses to running backs over the past 4 weeks? Minnesota. They've allowed 5 rushing scores on their 4-game losing streak. This team does not know how to move the ball lately. A little bit more on that in a bit. And probably put Chris Rodriguez, not quite as long of odds, but at plus 150, I'll probably throw him into that touchdown round robin I was talking that I'll do as my personal play. So, some really good value here, and it's pretty consistent across the books. So,
yeah, very rare you see, a plus 150 priced prop with over 50% probability. That's an enormous edge. So, all right, I've heard enough. Chris Rodriguez is all over my card this week. Okay, let's get to our first touchdown round robin next. Believe we hit 2 of these legs last week. That's the second time in 3 weeks that this has happened, and dangerously close to times 3.
Yeah. I mean, I should have known Devontae Adams is the top red zone back in the NFL. So should have known it wasn't going to be Kyron Williams, but he was like plus 400 for the first TD. Kyron was like 500, almost the same probability. I couldn't do it, but yeah, times 2. That's our second in the past 3 weeks. Maybe getting a little momentum here. Let's see if we can build on it. This one is going to be a little bit chalky here, but there's some tough matchups on the board this week, and there's also some games where there are, 5 options on each team who you think could score the first touchdown. So I think best to avoid those. So let's go through these 5 right here. Starting with Jonathan Taylor, the number one probability in our predictions for the whole week at 18%, playing the Jags. Talked about how he slowed down a bit the past couple games. Basically got 3 games worth of production in Berlin, and now he's had 143 yards and no TDs over his past 2. Colts lost both of those games. Should probably look to doing what works and helps them win, getting the ball to Jonathan Taylor early and often. Jags rushing defense has been pretty good, which you can't deny. But Jonathan Taylor is our top probability of the whole week, 67% to score anytime. Got to start it off with him. Next up, Josh Jacobs. Talked a ton about this game already. Not really anything about Josh Jacobs, but we'll keep this quick. Second highest probability of the week at 16%. Until his injury, Jacobs scored in all but one game this season. He has not since he left that game early in week 12. Limited at practice this week, but that's likely just to manage it, as he did play last week in a full role. Emmanuel Wilson relegated to just a handful of touches. So they're going to go back to Josh Jacobs as the top back. Packers have opened the touchdown scoring 8 times this season. We just talked about how we love the Bears, but the Packers are touchdown favorites, and we'll back the model here. Derrick Henry, 15% versus the Steelers. Another straight from the top 5 overall this week. Henry's on a roll, 4 touchdowns in his past 3 games. Lamar has not looked good. They should try and establish the run early and take a quick lead on Pittsburgh in a pivotal division game. Just talked about how Pittsburgh got rolled over for one of the worst rushing performances they've ever seen. Steelers have looked anemic lately, not moving the ball well. Little hiccup for Baltimore last week, but they've got a few extra days of rest. For the most part, the defense has been good over the past month and longer. Next up, RJ Harvey, 14% versus the Raiders. He's sitting just outside the top 5 on NFL Sunday and making his debut in the first touchdown round robin. Harvey's fresh off a 2 TD game, back-to-back games with double-digit carries. He's firmly in the RB1 position. Just 6 carries for Jaleel McLaughlin in each game since J.K. Dobbins' injury. So you're not really concerned about him ceding too much work. Gets a lot of receiving looks and is very efficient there. And, maybe famous last words here, but you're not concerned about the Raiders scoring first against this Broncos defense. Let's back the team's leading scorer and our highest probability in this game. And who else? Chris Rodriguez. We got him an edge on 1, on 2, on 3. Let's go for the first. He's even got a little edge here. It would be plus 900 fair odds at this. This went up from plus 800 last night when I was doing some research. So we like to see that. Straight from the waiver wire into the round robin. 2 guys with a debut this week. Pretty nice. So many edges on him. We have to have him in here. Vikings are a disaster. 6 points over their last 2 games. 4 touchdowns total on their 4-game losing streak. 3 of those came in the fourth quarter. So again, I don't think you're overly worried about them finding the end zone first. If it's Brosmer or McCarthy, just has looked awful lately, even against this Commanders defense. I know it's not good, but C-Rod's the lead back here. Like I said, we're getting a touch of value at plus 950 and 10%. He's a hot pick for the model this week. Let's close it out with him. Plus 17-17 for the anytime TD parlay. A lot of juice on Jonathan Taylor. If you don't like playing something like that, you could leave him out. Still be pretty good odds, probably plus 1,200, 1,300 or so. Let's see if we can get at least our 3rd times 2 in the past month.
Good for Chris and RJ making their debut. Big name, man. You got to reward what they've done in recent weeks.
League winners right here. Fantasy league winners. Going to get some extra love on the show.
Yeah, man. That's how it should be. All right. Good luck to all first touchdown round robiners this weekend. We've been just on the precipice of greatness with that a couple straight weeks, it feels like. So hopefully this is the week. There's some big college football games this week. It is college football championship week, conference championships being handed out. And let's go back to our college corner for a little bit of a live look at some college football probabilities.
College Corner.
All right, bear with me here. I'm going to try the first ever Greg Waddell screen share here. And I'm going to pull up this model for college football. Are we good? Are we live?
Bang.
Bang, we're live. Look at this. I'm so proud of myself right now. All right. So as we mentioned on Tuesday's show, we did want to wait until closer to the weekend to take a closer look at some of these college football probabilities and edges. But the same way this works for NFL is the same way it's worked all season long for college football. You can scroll through any game that is on the schedule for this week in college football, and it will give you a probable outcome, predicted final score, percent probability to each side, and then the edge, if there is any, on wherever the odds are, and the best place to bet it. Scrolling through for conference championship week here, you'll see a lot of smaller schools because a lot of the smaller conferences obviously are some of the biggest games this week. In general, it is a smaller slate than normal because you don't have 300 plus college football teams in action this week. You just have the two teams in each conference competing. So as you'll see, some of our top probabilities this week, Western Michigan over Miami of Ohio. That game is basically a pick 'em. Western minus 1.5 has a little bit of juice, but we show a 62% probability that the Broncos emerge victorious. That's my hometown team, by the way. I live right in Kalamazoo. I've gotten to see Western Michigan a couple times this year. Just a really good football team that is clicking at the right time, that has flown very under the radar in recent weeks. Not surprised whatsoever to see that they are a favorite and a sizable one at that, according to our model. I do want to highlight a couple games further down here. Tulane and North Texas is a very fun one. Basically, the two best non-power conference teams in college football this year have been Tulane and North Texas. Again, with conference championship week, you often see games that are pick 'em or very close in nature, a field goal or less in terms of against the spread. In games like this, I typically lean to the team with the quarterback that I trust more. And as great as North Texas's season has been, they've got a quarterback who has one of the wilder stories you've ever heard of, a kid that was not a quarterback ever until this year. He's been amazing. Tulane has a power conference quarterback that started at BYU a year ago, and Jake Retzlaff has been a big game guy, had BYU a game away from the college football playoff last year, and is now at Tulane with a chance to end his career with a conference championship. I like Tulane's edge there. I like their side of this game. They are plus money underdogs. Now, we show a 3% edge at plus 115 for Tulane to win that game, but at 2.5, if you could even get that up to 3, that's a key number that I love. Keep it within a field goal against North Texas. And then one game that is absolutely on my card, Tulane, Western Michigan are games I would more describe as leans. I definitely see the value in them, but I have Alabama on the money line to beat Georgia as my best bet of the week for college football championship week. Reminder that these two teams met already once this year in Athens, a home game for Georgia. Alabama won that game. This was months ago. 24-21 was the final score. I think both teams have evolved quite a bit, but to me, it's Alabama as the side that has gotten significantly better. They've gotten healthier in the running back room since then. Quarterback Ty Simpson has just evolved and really blossomed and become a lot more comfortable as a kind of a freelance guy that can make plays on the fly beyond just pre-snap reads. To me, you want to consider motivation in conference championship week. And as we sit, Georgia is the third projected team in the college football playoff field. They are 11-1 on the year with just that loss to Alabama. Alabama's 10-2. If Alabama wants to make the college football playoff, they have to win this game. Georgia does not. And this is a team they should be confident against that they already went into their house and won earlier this season. I think this is the play of the week. I'm all over Alabama here, plus 116 on the money line. There's also a probability of a 54% hit at Alabama plus 2.5 with the 3% edge. You get a higher edge if you bet Alabama on the money line at the current odds, according to our model. So that's what I'll be doing. But there's your brief overview at all things college football championship week. And reminder, there's plenty more here to surf through as well. Make sure that you get Dimers Pro so that you can see all of this for yourself.
One thing, well, I'll say two things. One, I've said this before on the show, always love a chance to back one of the best logos in sports, the green wave. And, that the Dimers model is designed to find mispriced odds. So like anything in the best bets is a misprice according to the model. But there's something about seeing a plus money line over 50%. And that feels like that is the best misprice there is. You're getting plus money on something the model says should be favored. And you can't get any better than that. I love that stuff.
Yeah, it never gets old. It is one of those things that just we could do this show for years, and I'm gonna have the same thrill every time we see one of those identified. So, and if you've watched College Corner all year, I bring some excitement to the segment, but it's because I kind of do my own personal handicapping of college football games, and then I'll go see what the Dimers model says. And whenever there's agreement there, especially with some of my strongest plays, that's when I get total eyeball emojis. Alabama would qualify this week. So play of the week there. Hopefully I'm right. Hopefully the Dimers model is right, and we can lead you to some winnings. Thank you to those of you that have watched the College Corner all season long. With college football getting to playoff time here, we will have more coverage of that as we lead our way closer and closer to the national championship. But in the meantime, there's still NFL odds every single day. NBA season is cooking. You've got college basketball in full swing now. We'll cover some of that on this program week to week as well, but make sure you get Dimers Pro 50% off with promo code podcast. You can see all this information for yourself in real time. Let's turn next to what we personally like for week 14 of the NFL. What's your personal play this week?
I flip-flopped on this a bit. I actually almost went with my little touchdown round robin in here, decided against it. If you want to see what I do with that, I will post it in the Dimers Discord this week. So it'll be out there. You can find it. But this is what I'm going to put here on the show is what I'm definitely going with. James Cook receiving yards ladder. And here's why. The Bengals allow the second most receiving yards to running backs this season, 6.2 targets per game. That is the sixth most in the NFL. James Cook has one game with 58 yards, one game with 66, and one game with I got this freaking timer that's popping up here and taking down my banner. All right. James Cook, receiving yards. Yeah, one game with 58 yards, one game with 66. Both those games came against the Ravens, seventh most receiving yards in the NFL this season to running backs, and the Bucs, the most receiving yards in the NFL this season to running backs. He's exploiting defenses that are exploitable. Surprise. He's a great running back, and he's got good hands. He had a stretch from weeks 5 to 9 with one target or fewer. Now he's got 3+ and 4 straight. He's caught the last 15 passes that have come his way. Dimers projects him for 18.6. You can get him 15+ for -119, and then ride the ladder up. 25 at 171, 40 at 406, 50 at +650, and 60 at +1020. I'll probably put maybe 1.5 units. If I play the 15+, I'll do 1.5. If I start with 25+, I'll just play one full unit across this ladder. And that is my play of the week.
Love it. Cook's been so good. You could, pick anything you want with him. I'd be like, yeah, I think it's going to happen. He's been a monster this year. I'm going to keep it, I think, the most simple I've ever kept my personal play all year long. Give me Bears money line. It's time to put my money where my mouth is here. I think this is the best team in the NFC North. I think Ben Johnson is the coach of the year in this league. I think Ben Johnson knows who he is. And I think when he took this Bears job, he sat at the podium and correctly identified what's about to happen. He said, I took this job so I get to play the Packers twice a year still. I think he's going to back it up. Call me crazy. Call me a fan of my former offensive coordinator. I'm not supposed to believe in this guy at this point the way I do. I just think he's the real deal. I think this offense is playing with so much confidence right now. I think when this team gets you in a one-possession game late, they just have the confidence and the belief and the execution on both ends. That defense has been flying under the radar, making plays for weeks. The Packers are good. Do not get me wrong. I'm not saying they're not, but I think they've been very fortunate with some of their wins coming against teams at certain times. They caught Detroit in a very injured version of themselves last week. They caught Minnesota juggling quarterbacks. They caught the Giants with Jameis Winston. To me, when the Packers have gone up against the legitimate contenders in the entire league, they've fallen short, and I think the Bears qualify. I think this is their coming out party this week. Plus 270 is just too good for me to pass up. to me, if you bet this pregame at plus 270 and it plays out the way we think it will, where it's a close game late, you've got hedge opportunities situationally that you could jump in on in the fourth quarter. So I'm all over this. It's on our card as one of the models' best bets of the week against the spread. It's on my card as my outright play of the week. Bears money line, baby.
Very good. I love it. I'm going to be on that with you. And I mean, we already love the spread, and the Dimers model has an edge on this as well. So very good stuff.
Now let's talk about what else is on Dimers this week.
What's on Dimers this week?
Well, so we got the last golf of the year is going on right now. I actually got to check in on that leaderboard. It's annoying. I can't even watch it. It's like work for like the first half of the tournament, which is so pointless. But anyway, we got our projections for that updating every day. It's only 20 guys, and they're starting in the morning. So barring an insane weather delay, there will not be any suspensions and cause the round to go into the next day. Of course, we have daily hockey, basketball, college and NBA, college football conference championships, as Greg was kind enough to go over with us. That stuff's going on pretty much all week and weekend. We got NFL Week 14 coverage coming your way, expanded stuff, a couple articles you'll find on site. The weekly betting guide will return after taking the holiday week off, and we should have plenty more to bring your way.
Yes, we will. All right, Dave. Thank you very much. Thank you to our listeners for persevering. A sick week from me as I try and grind through to Thursday Night Football. Good luck to your Cowboys. Good luck to my Lions. We'll have the conclusion of our head-to-head parlay challenge next week on Tuesday. Enjoy Conference Championship Week. Enjoy Week 14, everybody. Gamble responsibly, and we'll see you again next week.